because she had one of the worst houses in the entire community, we offered to build her another one.
¿Cómo? I asked. What? How much do I have to pay? They just keep saying they'll give me a house.
A few days later, Operation Blessing arrived with building materials and volunteers, and in a single day they were able to build this new home for Erica and her children.
It was the most exciting day of my life. That night we slept, and it was so warm, and no cold air got in. The next day it rained, and we did not get wet. No more. It is thrilling.
But we knew Erica needed something more to increase her income as a single mom. So we gave her this cart where she can cook food to sell to her neighbors right in front of her home. Tears of joy fell from her eyes as she realized what the cart would mean to her children.
Thank you. You have given me something that will change my life.
Then, as our day with Erica
affecting life through Operation Blessing, and that touched me because I realized we were going to a remote part of a country like Nigeria, remote village, and providing water. Water is like life. When people see water, nobody's thinking about religion, where you're from, but they see people coming to provide what they need the most, and that, for me, touched me. There were times I saw some of these things and I was moved to tears. I realized that these people are going to go as far as my own imagination would. So if I become a member of this club, that means I'll be affecting lives. And I know that this is what God would rather have us to touch lives, impact lives. That's what 700 Club is doing. It's why that's be part of 700 Club.
Insightful. Thank you, Mabel. You are indeed a gift to the world. In the monthly gift to CBN has opened doors for so many lives. Our next two stories reveal more. We meet two women who were in dire need of medical attention until CBN stepped in and saved the day. Enjoy their stories.
Every day, Agnes sits by a small fire frying bean cakes to sell to neighbors. She doesn't earn much, but it's usually just enough to provide for her family. One morning, she suddenly felt intense pain all over her body. I couldn't move. I had to lie down to get some relief. She tried to work, hoping the pain would go away. When it only got worse, she knew she needed pain medication. Even though my body hurt so much, I didn't have enough money to buy pain relievers. Then Agnes heard about the free medical clinic CBN was holding in her village. There, she was diagnosed with a form of arthritis and given the medication she needed, free of charge. The doctors came when I needed them the most. I was so relieved when they told me I didn't have to pay for my medication. After taking the medication, Agnes felt so strong. She came back the next day with her frying pan and bean flour ready to sell bean cakes. As she packed up to live, we gave her enough beans to not only keep her business going, but to expand it and get ahead. How can I thank you enough, CBN? I am so grateful. Different cases, different faces. They all came from far and near to partake of the help that is available to all. In Mariba Kamuku of Niger State, the Christian Broadcasting Network recently held a one-week free medical mission. More than 1,200 people got medical help for ailments ranging from common cold to more complicated cases needing surgery. With doctors, lab scientists, pharmacists, counselors, and volunteers on hand to help, the people were assured of getting professional medical attention. Pregnant Hadiza had struggled with a persistent stomach pain for many weeks before the CBN medical team arrived at her village. When she heard the news of their arrival, she knew she had to get there as fast as her pregnancy would allow. I suffered from chronic stomach pain for more than a week. As she queued with the other women to receive her first medical attention, something happened. Hadiza had gone into labor. I was greatly helped. Mary gave me all the attention I needed. Mary is a professional midwife and a missionary working with the CBN team. She immediately rushed Hadiza to a room where she was given all the attention she needed. And in no time, Hadiza gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. She also got the basic drugs needed for her recovery and the nutritional support for her newborn.
It's a thing of joy, but it's stressful because it's not like the normal hospital setting. Having to take, to check a woman through labor on mats. You have to bend, sometimes kneeling down, and we provide for many things. But the joy is that, a new life is coming to the world through our hands.
CBN, thank you so much for your help.
Isn't it simply heartwarming to know that Agnes and Hadiza are really very special? Without a timely intervention of CBN, Agnes would have become a liability to her family and community due to a prolonged and undiagnosed illness. Hadiza might have been left with life-threatening complications due to crude delivery methods. But just in the nick of time, CBN, through the help of its partners, brought medical help to Agnes and Hadiza. I hope you've enjoyed the program so far. We'd love to keep in touch with you beyond this platform, so you can always visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/CBN You Were There. We appreciate your comments, encouragements, prayers, and of course, questions and areas you need clarifications on. We will quickly take one of such beautiful comments on our feedback segment. If you'd like to support us like Siri, kindly log on to our website, www.cbnnigeria.org. You can also call or send us an SMS through the numbers on your screen, and someone will be waiting to put you through. If you have been inspired by the stories we brought your way today, you can help us do more and reach more communities with your financial support. No amount is too small or too big. It's the difference it makes that matters. Don't go away. We will be right back after this timeout.
Life is a gift, and it offers us the privilege, opportunity, and responsibility to give something back as we become more. Many women, children, and families are suffering and in need, wondering where the next meal will come from. Lend a helping hand today. Be the strength when others are weak. Be the smile where others frown. Be the joy when there is so much pain. Be more. Join the 700 Club. Lend a helping hand to someone today.
Well, this is the much we have for you today. Together, we can make our world a better place. But it starts with the seeds you and I choose to sow today. So sow wisely. See you next time, and God bless you.
It's entertaining and coming out with a bang. Tomorrow Stars, hitting your screens with trending musicals, refreshing videos from up-and-coming entertainers. Keep updated with us every Friday at 7:30 p.m. and a repeat broadcast on Tuesday at 6 a.m. on your reach-out station, NTA2Lagos. Tomorrow Stars, defining the musical trends of the future. Every episode is a must-watch.
The NTA Television College Jos admission forms for diploma program in film and television production, television engineering technology, broadcast journalism, and degree programs in BSc Mass Communication, television journalism, and mass communication television production is now on sale. The sale of forms will commence 14th May and run to 13th August 2018 at the cost of 7,500 Naira only per form, payable through the remitter platform in favor of NTA Television College Jos. Forms can be obtained from all marketing offices in NTA State Capital Stations, zonal centers, training directorate of the NTA headquarters Abuja, and the office of the academic secretary of the NTA Television College. Applicants are required to possess 5 credits in GSC SSCE in relevant areas of study, including English and mathematics, and in not more than 2 sittings. All completed forms attached with photocopies of credentials must be submitted on or before the 13th of August 2018 to the stations where the forms were obtained. For further inquiries, please contact the office of the academic secretary on these numbers. Announcer, Registrar.
The glorious month of Ramadan is here, and the Muslim community of the NTA2Lagos Network Center invites you to this year's Yusuf Dibro Ramadan lecture. Date 14th Ramadan, 14:39 AH. Time 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Venue NTA2Lagos Network Center premises, Provision House, Akmadu Bello, Victoria Island, Lagos. Under the chairmanship of Alhaji Abdulatif Femi Okunu, National President and Southern Society of Nigeria. Chief host Malam Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, Director General NTA. Host Chidi Uluka, Zonal Director NTA2 Lagos Network Center. Special guest of honor, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, Speaker, Lagos House of Assembly. Spiritual Father of the Day, Sheikh Sulaiman Abu Nola, Chief Imam of Lagos. Guest lecturers, Commander Gidaro Taufik Mikdad, Acting Director, Labour Directorate of Islamic Affairs. Ustaz Harun Frani, Imam NTA Lagos 2010. Lecture on benefits of non-interest financial system is an integral part of the event. This is a gathering of Islamic scholars you don't want to miss. See you there.
This world is not my home.
The S.A. Akwiru family are now
It's good to have you join us on the program Senate 109 Interactive this week, where we focus on the activities of the Nigerian Senate. I am Shegun Ojolade. Once again, you're welcome to the program. Let's begin the program this way. The National Assembly Wednesday passed the 2018 appropriation bill of 9.1 trillion naira tagged budget of consolidation, the amount was increased from 8.6 trillion naira to 9.1 trillion naira. Similarly, the oil benchmark was jacked up from $45 per barrel to $51. The breakdown of the figures show that the recurrent expenditure stands at 3.512 trillion naira, while capital expenditure is 2.873 trillion naira. Here is the budget from the Senate in greater detail.
This other than not mentioned accounted for the increase of the budget from 8.6 trillion to 9.1 trillion as a result of the increase in the benchmark from $45 to $51. I want to emphasize this was done in collaboration with the executive for the interest of the development of this country. Recommendation. Given that due consideration has been given to the preparation of the 2018 appropriation bill, the committee recommends the consideration and approval of the bill for an act to authorize the issuance from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the total sum of 9,120,334,908,225 naira.
He has given us the details, the breakdown, and the information that this budget is going to run 12 calendar months. I think we should approve this budget since we have taken a long time from December to May to scrutinize and make sure that everything that is supposed to be taken care of has been taken care of. I think this is a budget of hope, the budget of progress, and I so second you.
I just needed to get some certain clarifications on page 4, item number 5, that talked about special intervention as a result of increase in oil price benchmarks. Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues, if you can refresh your memory, some weeks ago when the chairman on public account made about some certain funds that is needed as an intervention on the oil supply. I was thinking if it has been captured in the special intervention, just a clarification, because at that point in time we needed to get a clarification where funds of government should be remitted into the consolidated revenue account without it being used without the approval of the Senate. But with this special intervention, I thought it should have been captured so that we won't have that reoccurrence again.
We didn't include the issue of subsidy because the amount is huge, it's in trillions. And because we are aware that there will be supplementary budget coming on, we decided to put it aside. Don't forget that Mr. President wrote to this chamber the question for approval, which is approval for the expenditure of $4 and $6 million for 12 Sukama, and we requested that it should be included in this budget. But because of the size of the amount, we assume that it is until after that deadline. But while we are doing this, the public was made to understand, erroneously, or being misled to believe that it was the National Assembly that has been sitting on this budget. The last date, Mr. President and my colleagues in the leadership will remember when we had the report from the committee was about 4 days after the deadline given by Mr. President that the last processor appeared. Now, why I commend the executive for taking its time to present the budget as early as possible, I will seize this opportunity, sir, to register this frustration. We may not be here tomorrow, but the Senate will remain. The executive will not be there permanently, but the executive arm of government will remain. And by the grace of God, this country will continue to enjoy democratic governance, irrespective of the pitfalls that we are passing through. I find it expedient because, Mr. President, some of us are very, very cautious about what we are going to live in the past. Our records, we want a situation where my grandchild will pick the records of this Senate 20 years after I'm in my grave, and should not be given the opportunity to call Senator Nala a stupid person. So with the greatest respect, it is enough for us to work tirelessly to get this document across to them, and for them to now sit back and rewrite their own budgets. That will not be tenable to us. So, Mr. President, distinguished colleague, I think one major focus we should pay more attention to going forward from today is the implementation of this 2018 budget. Because that is the only way that Nigerians who have voted for us, who have put us in office, can feel the dividend of democracy. A lot needs to be done as far as implementation of the budget is concerned. Yes, everybody is happy we are about to pass this budget, but the question is, what is the aftermath effect of the passage, which is the implementation? So, Mr. President, going forward, I want to implore all committee chairmen to please, all hands must be on deck, so that going forward, from day one, when the budget is signed, we start the monitoring process so that we can ensure that this budget is implemented to the latter. What I have observed and what I presently appreciate about this 2018 budget is the fact that the Buhari administration has been able to stay focused. If you take a peep into the nitty-gritty of the budget, has decided that ongoing projects must be finished. And when we look at the three critical areas, that is power, works, and rail. If I may just run through some of the projects, Nigerians will know that the 2018 budget is not only about a particular section of the country. It goes into the nooks and corners of all the areas that we can call the state of Nigeria. Now, for instance, under power, on the Ibadan Expressway, which is going to be completed before the end of next year, the major lighting will be completed together with the roads. Equally, the Mandela Hydro Power Plant is on course. The transmission lines and substations on that route is on course in the 2018 budget.
9 trillion. After about 3 hours of deliberations, the Senate in the Committee of Supply scrutinized the budget proposals and approved it close by close. Highlights of the budget of over 9 trillion naira, more than 530 billion naira is for statutory transfers, 2.2 trillion naira for debt service, 3.5 trillion naira for recurrent expenditure, and 2.8 trillion naira goes to capital spendings.
This bill is read the third time and passed. Let me, distinguished colleagues, thank you all so much for particularly the relevant subcommittees, and more importantly also the chairman of appropriation of the Senate, and also the chairman of appropriation in the House committee, because I know this was a joint effort that was done. Let me, particularly for me, today is a very happy day for those of us who are from the medical profession, those serving and those who are not serving. I want to, on behalf of all doctors, practicing doctors, not native doctors, all doctors, to thank the entire National Assembly for these 1% of budget towards primary health care provision. These will go a long way in addressing our health issues. As we all know today, Nigeria accounts for 10% of the world maternal mortality, 9% for child, and about 8% for infant mortality. This is not where we should be as a country, and I think what we have done today in these chambers and also similar in the House is to open a new page that enables our people to be much healthier and much stronger. So I want to thank all my colleagues for this support. A lot has been said on the areas of
how we could have passed the budget earlier, and I think there's definitely room for improvement in the area of cooperation and collaboration between the executive and legislative arm of government. As you all know, there are lots of, at least 50% of capital expenditure of ministries, some of them up to end of February, still have not done the defense. I think this is an area that, we must work on the two arms of government. Let me also comment on some of the wrong impressions regards the issue of the increase in the aggregate expenditure, as well highlighted by the chairman of our preparations. This has been brought about a close working relationship between the executive and the National Assembly, as sometimes this was not properly explained and reported since yesterday, where both the executive and the legislature have seen areas of where there's need for intervention. We've heard the chairman of Works telling us need for making sure there's equitable distribution of road projects which have accounted for a significant amount. Power project intervention also. And today also, if we're not talking about intervention, this issue of this health that we talked about today will not have been possible. So this is part of the things that sometimes need to be done in order for the best interest of the country. Let me also, an area that we will not address, which is the issue of fuel subsidy. I really make an appeal again that the executive needs to look into this for the interest of transparency, where an expenditure close to about 1 trillion must be captured in the budget. And we want, when the supplementary comes, the executive should do something about this area. It's an important issue, and I believe we must address. Let me also, because in doing that also, we must appreciate now that the crude oil price is close to 80. A lot of Nigerians are expecting to see our excess crude reserve account to be on the rise. But if money is being used for subsidy, at the end of the day, we will have it difficult to explain. That is why it's important that we capture this subsidy into the budget. On that note also, I want to emphasize the point of the issue of oversight and the issue of us ensuring that this amount that we are put in the budget, that there is successful implementation.
Now, shortly after the passage of the budget in plenary, the Chairman Senate Committee on Media and Publicity, Senator Sabi Abdullahi, and Senator Dani Magoje, Chairman Senate Committee on Appropriation, had an interaction with the Senate Press Corps.
We want to bring before you distinguished Senator Mohammed Dani Magoje, the Chairman Senate Committee on Appropriation, former Executive Governor of Gombe State.
I know you'll be interested to know why the increase. Because I saw in some papers today, people were emphasizing the fact that the president brought 8.6 and the National Assembly produced 9.1. This is one as a result of the increase in the benchmark. The president came with a benchmark of $45 to a barrel, with 305 naira to a dollar and production rate of 2.23 million barrels a day. We maintain the production of the executive, we maintain the steel rate, but we change the benchmark. We increased the benchmark by $6, but it was not unilaterally done. We did it in full consultation and understanding and participation of the executive. And in trying to apply this $6, this $6 means it's not all justice coming to federal government. Whatever amount we give is shared between 3 tiers of government: federal government, state government, and local government. So the federal government share for every dollar is 87.2 naira at the state rate of 305. The balance goes to the state government and the local government. So So we have $7.2 million naira times $6 at the production rate of 2.223 per day. So that money, that excess money is what accounts for the increase from 8.6 to 9.1. And applying this money, we work closely with the executive. Part of the money was used to reduce the deficit, and part of it was applied to some key critical areas. For example, in my speech I highlighted, I will repeat. We applied about $50.88 billion to reduce deficit, about 46.72 billion naira rather was applied to the security area to maintain security in Nigeria. And for the first time, there was an act passed by the National Assembly some years back which stipulates that at least 1% of the national budget should be particularly money in the CFR, Conservative Revenue Fund, should be devoted to health sector. But it has never been implemented. In view of the need to increase the health status of Nigerians, and also on the understanding that if we need this money, foreign donors will also bring their money, it will gently go in fighting the health problem of this country. They decided to use part of this additional money from the benchmark to implement for the first time the Health Act, which provides that 1% of the money should be devoted to health sector. For this reason, we allocated 57.1 billion naira to the health sector. The Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, as usual, got the largest share from this additional money. We got about 106.5 billion naira. We have 12 universities that were established by the previous government, but these universities lack so many facilities to the extent that they are having difficulty in getting accreditation with the NUC. They complain to us, and in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Budget, Ministry of Planning, we allocated the sum of 15.7 billion for that purpose to the new universities and also for unity school feeding. The new universities got 12 billion naira. Each university will get 1 billion naira. Each of the 12 new universities. The balance of 3.7 billion naira devoted to school feeding. We also have a problem. There are a lot of money being owed to the food suppliers, and we decided to also alleviate their suffering by allocating 3.7 billion. Total amount allocated to education, 15.7 billion naira.
Now, collaboration and harmonious working relationship is critical to the sustenance of the nation's democracy. To this end, Nigerian Senate has set up an ad hoc committee to meet with President Muhammadu Buhari over what the senators described as thorny issues between the two arms of government.
This came as the President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, briefed the Senate on a report by his governor to him on the arrest of some people in Kwara State by the police suspected to be cultists. In the light of this, Senator Saraki raised an alarm that there was a purported report of the possibility of these suspects implicating his person and that of the governor.
I think it's important I bring this dangerous development to your attention.
In the light of this, the Senate set up a committee to interface with the President to discuss these and other issues that will improve relations between the arms of government.
We need to ensure that there's rule of law. We need to ensure that we respect our various rights.
Therefore, it's an opportunity for our delegation to Mr. President
to explain everything.
From the
That's the package for this week. Do join us next week for another edition. I am Shegun Ojolade. Bye-bye.
It's another Children's Day celebration with NTA Knowledge. It promises to be exciting and full of fun. Come, let's celebrate Children's Day on 24th May 2018.
Featuring dance, math past, drama, musical talent display, choreography, cultural dance, catching the train. That's not all. Bernie and Clown will be on ground to add color to the event.
Theme: creative safe spaces for children. Our collective responsibility.
Schools, parents, what are you waiting for? You can't afford to miss this fun fair.
Venue: NTA2Lagos Arena, Area 11 Garki, Abuja. Gate fee: 1,000 naira only. Time: 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
For participation and sponsorship details, dial. Come, let's celebrate children in a grand style. Happy Children's Day.
We're talking about balanced diet now, we're talking about healthy living, and we're talking about complex carbohydrates.
And you see, the essence of night and day is that day we can go for our daily activities, while the night is meant for us to have a very sound sleep.
Also, you need to exercise. It may sound counterintuitive, like why would you exercise when you're on the weight? But the truth is, it helps in your fat distribution.
Everyone is talking about increased physical movement, increased physical ability. What about some light exercise? We can do it together.
Try this thing now. When do you want to connect lights? Come on yourself now. Well. Come down now. Oga Kasali electrician when we look for this. Oh, Oga Kasali, come help us fix this sorry, I no longer carry out illegal connection. It puts the lives of people at risk and can cause fire outbreak and disrupt power supply. I will never be part of anything that has to do with this any longer, because change begins with me.
To achieve 3.5 GDP target by end of 2018.
As you all know, it showed a GDP growth rate of 1.95%, with both the oil as well as the non-oil sectors.
Vice President Oshibanjo visits IDP camp in Nasarawa State. Says flight will soon be alleviated.
Let us cooperate, work together with the state government and the federal government to bring peace and security.
Corporation Account Allocation Committee shares 613 billion naira among the three tiers of government as revenue accrued for April.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, we focus on efforts at promoting investments in Nigeria.
In another 5 days, the Buhari administration will clock 3 years in office.
And Good Morning Nigeria will from today run special editions on the management of aspects of the political economy in the past 3 years.
We are beginning the series today with a focus on the investment sector, which is one of the cardinal areas of the administration's economic drive.
And at various fora, both within and outside the country, President Muhammadu Buhari has warned investors to leverage on the investment opportunities that abound in various sectors of the economy, including infrastructure, industry, agriculture, mining, and the digital economy.
That's right, Kingsley. And the president added that Nigeria remains the #1 investment destination in Africa, with a total FDI, that is foreign direct investment inflow, of about $3.64 billion in 2015. Now, as part of efforts to realize this, the federal government inaugurated a presidential committee on ease of doing business, in addition to promulgating legislations and executive orders to facilitate it.
So one question to ask is, what kinds of investment has the country been able to attract so far? And what strategies have been adopted? More importantly, how does the country sustain the interests of investors? Now, these are some of the talking points as we begin our series on the 3rd anniversary of the Buhari administration. This is Good Morning Nigeria. My name is Kingsley Osarono. Saying, good to have you on the program today.
And I am Joy Siawa. I also join my colleague Kingsley in welcoming you to Good Morning Nigeria, coming to you live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. As usual, we shall present our companion segments, which include newspaper review, business, sports, foreign, and entertainment news. But for now, let's take the news highlights with Kendi Olaleya. Good morning, Kendi.
Good morning, Joy. Good morning, and welcome to the news. The federal government is optimistic that the 3.5 GDP target by the end of the year 2018 is achievable. This was announced at the end of the Federal Executive Council meeting held at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The summit followed the GDP growth rate of 1.95% recorded for the first quarter of this year.
As you all know, it showed a GDP growth rate of 1.95%, with both the oil as well as the non-oil sectors continuing to grow. The first quarter is usually the weakest quarter, so you expect other quarters to do much better.
The Federation Account Allocation Committee Wednesday shared the sum of 613 billion naira among the 3 tiers of government. The figure is higher than the amount disbursed the previous month by 132 billion naira. A breakdown shows that the federal government received the highest share of 276 billion naira, followed by the state government with 140 billion naira, while local government council got 108 billion naira. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has assured Nigerians of government's commitment to critical infrastructure development. He gave the assurance while inspecting the high-capacity electricity substation in Lafayette, Nasarawa State under construction.
As for the 132, we step down to 33. So the 330 that we yes, is across. That's what is the commencing the information will commence very soon. We're finished the 132 in 2 weeks here. The 132 is finished. They're working on 33.
The 33 kV line is the most robust power infrastructure you can find in the country. This one is coming all the way from Enugu through Makurdi to Lafayette to Jos. All our power needs will be handled by this 330 kV line.
Meanwhile, the Vice President says government is making concerted effort to address the plight of the internally displaced persons in the country. The Vice President disclosed this when he visited 3 IDPs camp located in our LOB local government area of Nasarawa State. He reiterated federal government's determination to put an end to killings in the country.
Let us all cooperate, work together with the state government and the federal government to build peace and security. The government, the federal government and the state government are committed to ensuring that the building about peace and security will do our part toward helping us.
The Senate met with heads of security agencies in the country on the best way to strengthen the nation's security system. This is equal to the incessant killings of innocent people in various parts of Nigeria.
We directed that on our part, certain outstanding bills or protocols that needed to be given a fast track should be addressed immediately to see that they can be passed as soon as possible in order to strengthen security architecture. And of course, we all observe the funding issue, and we also agree that there must be made special funding.
The Nigeria police have arrested 14 suspects who were alleged to have kidnapped and killed one Dr. Ibrahim Mulafia, a senior lecturer with the Nasarawa State University, on his way to Kano. A statement from Force Public Relations Officer ACP Jimo Mashood says the victim just returned to the country after completion of his doctorate degree in artificial intelligence from the United Kingdom. The PRO says the suspect is said to have been terrorizing motorists and communities along Niger, Abuja and Kaduna Zaria Kano highways. Items said to have been recovered from the suspects include 2 AK-47 rifle, 1 Beretta pistol and 2 phones including the iPhone of late Dr. Mulafia. The suspects are to be charged to court on completion of investigation. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives have passed for second reading a bill on act to amend the provision of the Electoral Act, which seeks to further improve the electoral process and all the related matters. The bill, jointly sponsored by 3 representatives, also intend to facilitate the conduct of free, fair, credible and acceptable election.
Of 10 individual bills seeking to amend sections of the Electoral Act 2010.
This bill is too serious.
It's existential to the very heart of Nigeria's electoral processes, and it is also fraught with a lot of uncertainty.
Whatever imperfections are in the bill, there are almost 2 solid opportunities left for us to cure them. So I don't know why we'll be scared at this point in time.
And that's all the news for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Kingsley and Joy after this break.
Unemployment, notably youth unemployment, features strongly in our party's manifesto. We intend to attack the problem broadly through revival of agriculture.
Actually, I bought an acre of land for 60k like 2012, and presently I have a cassava farm and a yam farm.
Organized, trained, and fully equipped. We are the new improved Nigeria Police Force. We fight crime. We bust syndicates. Whatever the crime, wherever the hideout, the Nigeria Police Force will get you busted. Stop kidnapping, armed robbery, murder, pipeline vandalism and other criminal activities. Be productive, be
security conscious. Join the police force to secure your life and property. This message is from the Nigeria Police Force Public Relations Department.
Non-governmental organizations, popularly called NGOs, have helped immensely to bring help to those who need them in the society.
God bless you wherever you are.
NGOs deserve some accolade and really should be applauded.
I congratulate your NGO for championing this cause.
But as they say, too many cooks spoil the broth.
You don't just to wake up and decide to start an NGO. It doesn't work like that.
The high rate of proliferation of NGOs has made it a tool of greed and also ineffective. Especially as the aim of many NGO founders these days is to enrich their bosses. Join your rib-cracking comedy, Professor John Good, this week in the episode titled NGO.
Gosh, I'm a very nice person now. Are you sure 30% will be enough for you?
I am 70, you're 30, bro.
Ha! Come up there. Are you using size to share the money?
Brought to you by Glow, the largest data network. Glow Unlimited. If you don't get money, hide your face. You can call me small doctor. I'm on your teacher. What's it that penalty? Don't throw
Airtel, the smartphone network. Whenever pain occurs, you want quick relief. Try new Nurofen Express. It goes to the source of pain and gets to work in about 15 minutes. That's why Nurofen Express delivers fast and effective relief. New Nurofen Express works at the source of pain. Fast.
Being a mom is great, but when your child has a fever, you don't know what to do. I trust Nurofen for Children to take care of my child's pain and fever.
Effective relief you can trust.
Thank you for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria. More reactions trail the Monetary Policy Committee retention of monetary rates plus participants at the maiden edition of the Direct Investment Summit Nigeria commenced government's initiative. For details of these and more on business news, let's join Joy Uzo.
Welcome to Business News. More than 190 investors from 14 countries converged on Abuja as Nigeria hosts the maiden edition of the Direct Investment Summit. Participants described the initiative as timely, considering that Nigeria's potentials remain largely untapped, adding that a march of investors is necessary for sustainable development.
It's timely for the investors to come in because the target of the economy is just coming out of recession. So you need to catch on that opportunity so that you invest because the macroeconomic indicators is positive in the sense that there will be what we call a worthwhile investment in this country. So I urge the investors to come and invest in this country.
And seeking out investors to come to Nigeria and have first-hand information about these opportunities, I think it's an added advantage, and I believe it will yield positive results in terms of both foreign investment and also domestic investments.
Moving on, Governor, Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, have said that the framework for the $2.5 billion currency swap agreement with People's Republic of China will be released next week, stressing that the deal will ease pressure in the foreign exchange markets. Meanwhile, reactions have continued to trail the Apex Bank's retention of the monetary rate at 14%. Economic analyst Chijioke Ikechukwu, who initially expressed reservations with the rates, says having weighed the intention of the committee, the decision is no doubt for the best interest of the economy.
The
MPC was looking at different things. They were not just looking at reducing rates because the inflation rate had come down. They were looking at stabilizing the FX market. They were looking at building local capacities in order for us to protect the local manufacturing, in order for us to protect all the decisions of government that we've been doing ever since we've been trying to come out of recession. I expected that the rates will come down, but until the governor explained why the rates were retained, it made more sense to Nigerians.
And to the equities market, we now take a quick look on how stocks fared Wednesday. Finally, Nigeria's petroleum sector contributed value-added tax of 12.132 billion naira during the first quarter of 2018. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) has shown. NBS said its first quarter VAT allocation report showed that offshore operations of the oil and gas sector generated 797.489 million naira, oil marketing 2.512 billion naira, oil producing 7.360 billion naira, and gas 1.461 billion naira. At a broader level, sectoral distribution of VAT data for first quarter of 2018 reflected that a sum of 269.79 billion naira was generated as VAT in first quarter of 2018, as against 254.10 billion naira generated in fourth quarter 2017 and 221.38 billion naira in first quarter of 2017. This represents 6.17% increase on quarterly basis and 21.87% increase year on year. That's it on business news. Many thanks for watching. I am Joy Rizzo.
Thank you very much, Joy, for the business packet. Next for us now, we'll go to the very busy front pages of some of today's newspapers for our review.
Our newspaper reviewer Bayo Atrebi is in the studio this morning. Good morning, Bayo.
Morning, John.
Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Nigeria.
All right, Bayo, good to see you. As I said, we have very busy front pages today. Yes. The stories sometimes are almost as varied as the papers, but there are stories finally come onto the front pages. But one story that we have from the front page of the Punch newspaper, above the nameplate of the Punch newspaper, is a story. Bauchi Deputy Governor Gidado resigns. That's the headline there from the Punch newspaper. The story is in greater detail on page 37. Now, coming just immediately below that, states to push for new revenue allocation formula, and NEC clears, that's the Electricity Regulatory Commission, clears 22 firms to buy and install electricity meters, and bandits abduct 21 passengers, kidnap 10 others in Kaduna. That story is on page 10, on page 12 in more detail. But the next story is also from the Punch newspaper, coming with a kicker still on security. Killings. National Assembly set to approve special funding for security agencies, and Senate asks military, police, DSS and others to send in requests. So those are the stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper. At least that's the upper half of the Punch newspaper. There are others, of course, that we'll take a look at going forward. Joy?
Yes, let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune. The lead story there comes with a kicker: $16 billion per project. Probe Obasanjo's government, CNPP, Sarah Kako urged Buhari, and it comes with a rider which says Obasanjo Buhari should keep exposing themselves, and this is attributed to Fayose. Details of that story can be found on page 2. And a little bit below the picture story there is another headline which says, FAC shares 701 billion naira April allocation. It comes with 3 riders, sends 24.5 billion naira into ECA. NNPC reforms 11.2 billion naira. CBN lifts forex market with $210 million. Details on page 2. And let's go quickly to this day newspaper. The lead story there says, immunity is your saving grace, FG tells Nyesom Wike. Comes with 2 riders, dismisses alleged assassination plot against governor. Rivers governor, federal government has no regard for human life.
Let's start with those that relate to those in position of governor and deputy governor. In Bauchi State, Engineer Nuhu Gidado has resigned his position as deputy governor. He sent in the letter to that effect on May 16th, and he said he's not going to wait until the end of the tenure because such will not be truthful to his the governor, and also not to fair to his own conscience. He cited dampened spirit and waning zeal as the rationale for him to step down. But insiders feel that there has been no rough loss between the two of them. Incidentally, they both contested against one another to the governor, and the governor chose him to be his deputy governor. And they say from day one, those who are within the circle say there has been less of cooperation than just tolerating one another for the period it lasted. Talking about the issues of impunity, you recall,
yes, before you go to the other issues, I'm wondering, I'm just trying to disturb my memory now. It appears there's no deputy governor who was all right. No, there was. This was one step ahead of impeachment. I think in Lagos, Bakuna resigned following the squabbles that she had, prolonged squabbles. So she had I was going to say that it would appear to be a seminal instance, but it happened in Lagos.
But again, unless there's specific provision in the Constitution when they are amending to itemize specific function for deputy governors, this cold relationship between governors and deputy, and some using them just as spare tires, will continue to persist.
Yeah, if you recall, it was the former governor of Anambra State, Chief Chukwuemeka Ezefe, who used that pejorative label, referring to deputy governors as mere spare tires, and technically that would be a spare wheel. But he said they are mere spare tires, and that's the way, in most cases, the deputy governors have been treated in the country.
But they complain.
No, they do. They complain in silence. Of course, if you are too vocal, then you get to be impeached. And it's only in a very few instances that we have seen the deputy governor, taking over as governor. And that's one of the reasons, of course, we are seeing what we are seeing in one of the states where we have elections.
The other story relating to governors is the alarm raised by the governor of Rivers State that they are plotting to assassinate him in public locations. And the federal government has reacted that the governor enjoys immunity, and that is why probably he has not been questioned or arrested for that allegation. You recall that a senator raised a similar allegation that there was a plot to assassinate him. It was later found out to be untrue, and that senator is now facing trial for giving false information. However, in spite of the fact that governors, deputy governors, president, vice president have immunity, the Supreme Court has established that they can be investigated in case they have seemed to be involved in anything unwanting or against the law.
I don't understand the twist of that story. I mean, if it's been an allegation, it is for the security agencies to follow the trail, and that means also going to him or inviting him to provide further details. I don't think it's the allegation. Well, of course, it depends on the details of the allegation and whether he has written or otherwise. A person doesn't make an allegation, and then that then becomes a ground for criminal investigation or otherwise. Well, is it against the accuser or against? I don't know. It's
the politics, the extent to which everything is politicized, particularly when we are approaching election. Sometimes it's very shocking, and the alarms are continuously coming from Rivers State. There's alarm about assassination. It's not the first time. There's alarm about rigging of 2019 election. Every now and then. There was even alarm about special police SARS also in Rivers. So something has to be done, because the poor relationship between the governor, who is the chief security of the state, and the security agencies is a cause for concern.
Absolutely. Mario, let's take a look at some of the other stories making headlines. Let's go back to the Nigerian Tribune. Just a little bit below the nameplate, we have this story which says, Senate security chiefs agree on special funds to tackle insecurity. And you can get details of that story on page 6. And beside it is another one which says, Nigeria to UN Security Council, 14.8 million people affected by Boko Haram. Details on page 3. A little bit below at the foot of the paper, Buhari yet to get approved 2018 appropriation bill. It comes with a kicker as he applauds Nigeria's rising role in World Craft Council. Details on page 6 and 29. And beside the picture story there on my right, why minimum wage increase is on the table. That is attributed to Oyelta. Details on page 5. 41 feared abducted in Benue. Details on page 34. And below it, court orders Meto's trial in absentia. You can get details of that story on page 10.
All right, let's take a look at the Daily Independent newspaper. Daily Independent newspaper has immediately above his nameplate, amnesty, federal government trade works over human rights abuses. That's on page 2. Lead story says protest as APC inaugurates convention subcommittees. Party fixes June 23rd for national convention, and PDP members allege names removed from list. Also there on the front page of Daily Independent, street urchins and the color riders attack customs, prevent arrest of smugglers. That's in Ogun State. And Anambra government bans Okada riders in Onitsha and Oka. And the story also on the 2018 budget, Buhari yet to receive past 2018 budget, that's according to the federal government, and OK's 582 million naira for Immigration Service Data Center, and ratifies protocol on tobacco control. Very quickly, also from the Blueprint newspaper, this time we also have all the stories on the security chiefs and special funding being proposed by the Senate, and then this SERAP on power projects, but just below the photograph on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper, you have the headline, Electoral Act, reps make U-turn, drop election reordering. That's on page 6. And then this one says, my father denied me food to have sex with me, and that's according to a teenager. And then 10 years after, tribunal orders FCMB to settle 989 million naira debt.
All right, let's move quickly to this day newspaper for more stories. Above the nameplate is a story which says NBS, that is the National Bureau of Statistics, allays concern over first quarter of 2018 GDP performance. It comes with a rider. Again, Naira falters on parallel market. Now $366 per Naira.
That's right. I think there's there's a pre-tax devil there. It's going to be Naira
per dollar.
Yes.
Let's start with the story on security. The Senate concerned about the security concern across the nation met with the security chiefs. The chief of defense staff was there. So also was the Director General Department of State. All other service chiefs were represented. The concern were about spate of killings, kidnapping, proliferation of arms, and also the Senate, after discussion behind closed doors, assured the security chief that special funds will be provided for them outside the budget to enable them take up the challenges. Talking about the security challenges, as many as 42 is reported by another paper, another says 31 have been abducted by bandits. These are in 2 instances when passengers traveling between Belenengwari Highway and Kaduna, and others were coming from other parts of the country through Belenengwari were kidnapped. The second instance was 21 persons were abducted while they were traveling along that same road. Officials of the National Union of Road Transport say that in the period of about 220 passengers have been abducted within the period of 2 weeks along that highway. So much so that people, if they want to come to Kaduna, they don't know is in Kaduna State. Rather than come straight, they now have to go across through Kagara, Tegina to Mena and come all the way around to Abuja here to get to Kaduna. Passengers usually pay 800 naira from Beningwari to Kaduna. Now they have to pay 2,400 if they have to travel from Beningwari to Kaduna, and they have to traverse Niger State FCT before they get across. That's right.
I'm sorry, if you recall, this was identified as a border area, and that the area is also heavily forested.
It is forested, but it's not a border area. If it's not anything border there at all, it's bordering between Zamfara, Kaduna State, and maybe Niger State.
Brian Kingsley, let's go quickly to our editorial for today, which comes from the Daily Sun. It's captioned, "The proposed extra year for varsity graduates." The Minister of State for Education, Professor Anthony Onwuka, recently proposed that Nigerian university graduates may spend an extra year of studies in specialized institutions after graduation in the bid to make them employable. The minister, who made the proposal on May 8 at the two-day retreat for governing councils of federal universities organized by the National Universities Commission in Abuja, explained that he made the suggestion based on the fact that many Nigerian university graduates were not good enough to be employed by industries.
Yes, before we talk about the editorial, let me just also draw attention to the warning signal to those of us who are in the media. A federal high court in Abuja has summoned the general manager and the presenter of an electronic media over allegations of prejudicial comment. They are to appear in court on Tuesday. They made comment about the case that was discussed in court on Tuesday, May 22nd. They are to appear in court May 24th, that is tomorrow, to show cause why they should not be charged for contempt. Sometimes our colleagues tend to harp on interviewing counsels, and sometimes they become very overbearing. I remember there was an instance when we discussed the comments of some lawyers outside the court, and Kingsley rightly mentioned why didn't he canvass that in court. Some of them leave the issues they're supposed to converse in court and converse it to the media outside the court. That is purely a media trial, and our colleagues need to be very careful about. Talking about the editorial now, the proposal has been taken with a lot of speech, and that is why the newspaper is saying that that is not something that should be considered. They say the idea that you have students of medicine, students of law spending an extra year is not a condition to force liberal study students to spend 1 or 2 years, rather than force them to spend a year. Aside from NYC, which is an extra year, and some of them serious, which they have to go on attachment for the period, what they need to address are deficiencies in the universities. First, erratic strikes, which makes nonsense of the academic year. Secondly, inadequacy of facilities in libraries and research materials. And thirdly, proliferation and increase in the universities, which has spread the lecturers, qualified lecturers thin. And thirdly, elements of sexual harassment is there, which is also undermining academic ability.
That's the much we can take. Thank you very much. Because of course we have a topic that we are discussing this morning. I just wanted to draw your attention to something. If you recall, it must have been last week or the week before. There was a report in one of the papers of 2 young Nigerians in the UK who were fighting over who has a richer father. You recall?
Yes.
Yeah, we recall. Now, there's a story also out of New York. The story has been online as well as some international organizations. Upstate New York, a father and a mother, so a husband and a wife, took their son, a 30-year-old son, to court, asking the court to issue an order for the son to vacate their home, because they said they have given him all kinds of incentives to live. That is not going to do. And the court, of course, gave that order and said he should leave the house. He's 30 years old, and only fighting over who has a richer father. That is system. Thanks a lot for being around.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow, Friday. All right, it's Good Morning Nigeria still. We'll take a short break. When we return, of course, we'll be dealing with the investment climate as well as the investments inflow 3 years of the Buhari administration.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Every day, I see patients who come to me suffering from infectious diseases caused by germs, from typhoid to diarrhea, flu, cough. An average human being comes in contact with over 1 million germs daily when we use the toilet, from our door handles, from other surfaces, we transfer to others without realizing. That is why we recommend Dettol Antiseptic Liquid. Protect your family from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Be Dettol Sure.
Can I see your particulars, sir?
Yeah, officer. My particulars may be here.
In that case, you will have to come with me to the police station.
Officer, we are for finding something to make you take arrange your weekend.
What? Offense number 1, driving without particulars. Offense number 2, trying to bribe an officer of the law. I won't harass Nigerians or to bribe. Change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, let's join Mayor Kato Babatunde with this background report to kickstart our discussion this morning.
Nigeria is the 8th largest nation in the world with ample cost-effective human resources. It is estimated that the consumer market is worth over $400 billion according to McKinsey Global Institute. Upon inception of the present administration, the government was faced with the daunting challenge of weak economic indices and performance, which led to an exposure of the economy to shocks. Government has since then come up with policies to rejuvenate the economy and improve the investment climate. The Presidential Enabling Business Council, PIBIC, the SMEs Clinic, and the National Assembly Business Environment Roundtable, NASPA, are some key steps taken so far to reposition the investment climate.
Mobilizing and deploying the bulk of capital required to deliver growth and prosperity. And the role of the government should essentially be to create the environment for the private sector to thrive.
The more we do with the SMEs, the more we do with industry, the more we do with all the various players, the easier it is to attract investments.
Last year, the government came up with the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, ERGP, a medium-term strategy aimed at restoring growth to at least 7% by the year 2020, investing in human capital and building a globally competitive economy.
Is a plan that we also had the buy-in, of other sectors of the country. So we believe that it has a national support. So even though the initiator is President Muhammadu Buhari, the support for the plan is national.
Guests on Good Morning Nigeria today will examine the journey so far and the way forward.
All right, thank you very much, business correspondent here, Katum Babatunde, for that elaborate background report. With us here in the studios this morning is Dr. Okechukwu Enalama. He is the Honorable Minister of industry, trade, and investment. Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade, and Investment, that's Mitchell. Pleasure to have you again on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right. Straight away, let's begin this conversation. You listen to the clip there. For sure, we're also in that clip in the background report, and essentially the Vice President of the Federal Republic indicating that the chief purpose of government with regard to investment is to create the enabling environment for businesses to thrive, for investments to come in, and for industries to continue to grow and therefore create jobs. What has been the journey so far?
Thank you. I think let me again underscore the point you just made, that one of the very fundamental views we took as an administration when we started, right from the president to the vice president to the government, and also the National Assembly that was mentioned in the clip, holds the same view, is that providing the enabling environment for industry, for trade, for investment is fundamental. That's the one thing you have to get right. And that's why, I think the president in 2016 commissioned the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, which is the highest council where all the policy and all the initiatives to support this thrust of creating a good environment for business, a friendly environment, is pursued. Now that council is chaired by the Vice President. It includes several ministers. We also have representatives from the National Assembly, from the states, particularly notably Lagos State and Kano State, the two largest economies. And the journey so far, has been good. I mean, if you look at the council, for instance, we've had 3 national action plans. We had 2 in 2017, first half of 2017 and second half. We've had 1 this year. Those national action plans basically focus on specific interventions where we've spotted issues that are militating against business, that are working against people just carrying on with their lives, whether businesses or citizens or SMEs or other stakeholders. And I would say that that has been helpful because it's a very specific way of solving problems. We have also been working in the National Assembly on specific bills and laws that will make a difference. Last year we passed 2. This year, as you know, they're working on a bill to do with Corporate Affairs Commission, and we hope to pass an even more general bill called the Omnibus Enabling Environment Bill. So the whole idea is to work together collaboratively, to make sure we continue to support our businesses to thrive.
In terms of obstacles that have been a clog in the wheel of progress in terms of attracting foreign investors, what are some of the things you noticed?
I think for foreign investors, the first thing to say is that you start with, they say charity begins at home. So for those that are already operating in the economy, it's important that we are helping them succeed, because that their testimonial or their testimonies or their experience sharing is very important. Secondly, we shouldn't also forget domestic investors, in the sense that there are people already here and also Nigerians, home and abroad, that are prepared to invest in this economy. That gives the impetus, that gives the support, for the foreign investors to come in. Foreign investment is doing well though, and I'll give you two things to back that up. First is that by this time last year, by the first quarter last year, end of first quarter last year, the total investment into the economy in terms of direct investment was actually not even direct, total foreign investment was about 1 billion plus for that quarter. It has now topped 6 billion. I think it's more like 7 billion plus for the first quarter of 2018. If you look at the investment announcements, which Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission tracks, last year there were over 60 billion, 66 billion to be precise, investments that were announced by various people. It will take time, that are working on. The first quarter of this year, they've announced investments of over, I think, $17 billion already. So I think the trend is upwards. Now, in terms of what are the challenges, it's basically the same thing. Enabling environment, making it easier for the money to come in, infrastructure to reduce the cost of doing business, and access to markets, which is also why we need to do things that bolster the economy and invest in our people, because ultimately people will invest so they can sell their products and services.
In terms of infrastructure, I want to take you back on that, because I've had interactions with a couple of foreign investors who have said that coming into Nigeria to even work with Nigerians in terms of assisting towards infrastructure development will be a plus for them as investors, because it will be like coming in at a very good time. But some of them have complained about the issue of the ease of doing business. They're still having challenges, especially with some organizations where you say it's a one-stop shop for investors, and they still have a pocket of challenges here. And are you aware of that?
So there are 3 points to make just listening to you. First is that I like the point you made that the problem also creates the opportunity. The investors are prepared to help solve the infrastructure challenges, and we must welcome them, because clearly we don't have enough capacity to solve the problem alone. Our infrastructure appetite is huge as a country, and we must keep investing. In fact, countries like China invest ahead of the need of infrastructure, so it is almost as if they have oversupply, and frankly, I like that model. The second point you make about the challenges they face in terms of ease of doing business, obviously, as you know, that's the cardinal policy we're pursuing, to make it easier to do business. One thing I would add is that, like, because this is a journey, if there are specifics, we need to deal with them, because we learn from those experiences. I'm sure that when you speak to the Executive Secretary and CEO of the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, she will tell you that she's putting a lot of effort, as the NIPC has done a lot to make the one-stop investment center work. And we're also doing the same thing with the subnationals. It's a journey, and the journey continues, but the best way, and I was taught this many years ago, that one of the best ways to address an issue is to turn the problems into opportunities, to just deal with the problem, and that's what I will welcome those investors to do. But we're very open for business, and we're very open to problem solving. We are not defensive. If there are problems, we bring them on, we'll solve them.
All right, we saw what happened last year with regard to the upward swing in Nigeria's rating with regard to ease of doing business. And this was on account of the results coming out from majorly 2 states, Lagos and Kano, and I think Rivers as well. So in terms of ease of doing business at the subnational level, what has been the spread out beyond those focal states?
It's an excellent point. So first, let me clarify that the World Bank that does the ranking, because it can't go to every state, what it does is to focus on 2 states as almost like the sample states, right? Also because there are 2 of the largest states, Lagos and Kano. But you are right that the ease of doing business should apply to all the states. And the World Bank, working with us, is also doing a sub-national ranking. In fact, they just completed the work, and I think they'll be announcing it in the next couple of months. In other words, to rank the states, which creates a healthy competition or tension, so that the states are actually pulling their weight to make it easier. For instance, again, I know that the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission has been working with the various states to set up the same one-stop investment shop and investment promotion agencies that we have at the center at the state level. And it's a journey. Some states obviously are more, should I say, more proactive, more active in their ease of doing business initiatives. But I would say, by and large, the response we've seen from the states has been good. At least the states governors have dealt with and the states have dealt with have shown real commitment and real interest in trying to make it easier for their citizens. The key is to keep sharing experience and partnering, collaborating to work, because the business ultimately is done in the states.
I'm wondering, because you keep referring to the states, and that's going to be a part of our conversation. There's a lot of activity you see at the federal level. People also ask the question, some state governors are known to travel fairly frequently in search of foreign investors, either in China or in Vietnam or elsewhere, and they're looking for their people are looking for the evidence on the ground. Is there any interface, as it were, between the federal government and the state government with respect to leveraging on their sourcing for foreign investment, so that the evidence continues to grow on the ground with regard to whatever foreign investments they are bringing?
Again, it's a good observation. Our view is that we welcome very much the collaboration and the partnership between the federal government and the state governments, because as I pointed out earlier, the investments ultimately will happen in the states. Let me also say that when it comes to states traveling to attract investments, frequently they need the support of the federal government. They need the support of the federal government in terms of infrastructure, in terms of licenses, if these are special economic zones or industrial parks, in terms of tax planning, and in the case where loans are involved, as you know, they also need to work with the federal government in terms of the role that the federal government, the Ministry of Finance, plays in such should I say, investments or loans. The point to make is that collaboration is good, and obviously our own approach to it is to work with the states. Now, various states are doing different things. Even the president, he travels with state governors for the same reason, because we understand that ultimately it's that collaboration that produces the results.
I still want to take you back to the issue of foreign investors, because I know many of them are eager to come to Nigeria to do business. They want to take advantage of the population too. I remember earlier this year in Toronto at the large mining conference, PDAC, where the Minister of State for Mines and Steel Development came to represent Nigeria. So many investors were there and they wanted to hear what we have to offer in the mining sector. And I remember the minister complained about the number of Canadian investors in Nigeria based on what he found there. And the report we got from the Canadian side was about foreign investment Promotion Protection Agreement, FIPA, and they did say that on our part we're yet to complete the ratification process. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, and it's an excellent point. I had a discussion only last week with the Canadian Minister of Trade on that particular FIPA agreement, and basically what it is like with the new and revamped Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission, as well as the team we have today, we have looked at all our agreements and we have come up with the best practice, right, that protects investors, protects the country, and creates the right sort of framework or the right agreement. Now, the Canadian agreement had some issues that did not quite meet that standard, and we have passed that information back to them. The discussion I had with him last week was on how to solve that problem, and I believe we'll solve it soon, and we'll go ahead. But I'm glad that the Canadians are very interested to come here, and frankly, the minister also made that same point.
In terms of investment drive, what are the key focal areas for the Nigerian government?
Well, I think one way to think about the focal areas for the Nigerian government in terms of investment drive is to think about, again, what was in the clip, the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. If you look at that plan, it has 3 objectives, as you know: to grow the economy in a way that is inclusive, that creates jobs, to invest in our people, and to create a more competitive and a more robust economy that will absorb more people, because we're a large country. Now, the priorities start from agriculture and food security, so that's clearly an area. Infrastructure, which she mentioned as an area where people want to invest, because infrastructure can also be good investments when they're done properly. And then industry, in terms of infrastructure, we're interested in both energy, transportation, and all the other varied infrastructure. In terms of industrialization, we want to industrialize in a way that will spread industrialization across the country. So as you may be aware, we are launching and working with the states again and the private sector to implement these special economic zones and industrial parks. And we're encouraging the states to partner with us and the area of partnership and the private sector. The whole idea is to creating this enabling environment broadly defined, which means both the soft infrastructure and the hard infrastructure, and creating a competitive environment where people can, do their business and succeed. So those are some of the areas. The other one I should mention is the digital economy and services in general. We also have a lot of our people who are in services, particularly things like Nollywood and entertainment and even tourism. So we are clearly trying to create an enabling environment. I was speaking to the Minister of Budget and National Plan, I think only yesterday, and he said, because we had a group visiting us, and he said they encourage them to pick their space because there is so much, the need is so varied. We can't actually afford to be overly selective because we clearly want to. That's why enabling environment is such a powerful idea, because what it does is create the enabling environment, let the people deal with the issues around industrialization, trade, and investment. But we clearly, as government, make sure we give them the environment to play.
Well, still on the focal points in terms of priorities for investment, some persons would say infrastructure, for instance. What are we looking at? If you take a look also at specific needs, the automobile industry, for instance, how much of this are we seeking to attract? Some start off at some point with regard to vehicle assembly. How are we seeking to ramp all of this up, if that is another priority?
Yeah, so, the auto sector is a very important sector because it can basically, as you know, a lot of money goes into foreign exchange, goes into importing cars, and that means that you're actually importing jobs, and for a country of our size, our view is that we ought to do more locally. There should be more value added. Now, there is, as you know, there is a law that was set up, and there is a council that is focused on auto. That actually is part of our ministry, the NADDC, Nigerian Auto Design and Development Council. And then, of course, there is also, like I said, an enabling sort of auto policy that we've been pursuing. Now that policy basically is targeting trying to do more locally. And I like the way you linked it to enable environment, because one of the things we're doing is to make sure we have these specialized centers where we put in the necessary infrastructure so that we attract the investors to do more locally. Take for instance a place like Norway in Anambra State, which has been known for sort of auto and entrepreneurship. We are now working with the state government and the private sector to build an auto park there. And that plan, the feasibility and the master plan has been done and is now going towards implementation. And this is something we want to do all across the country. So I think the thing about auto is that it's also an area for partnership, because clearly you can't do it on your own. So talk about foreign investment. We want to work with the original equipment manufacturers, meaning the people who actually own the cars and the car production, to come and do more locally, and that's the plan.
When you were in the U.S. During the president's visit, and I recall that one of the points that arose from the interactions had to do, for instance, with your conversation with John Derry, the manufacturers of tractors. Yes. Is this part of what you're thinking about in terms of the auto policy?
Absolutely. So John Deere is basically the manufacturer agricultural equipment, tractors being chief, and they have committed to produce locally over 10,000, actually to more precisely more like 12,000 tractors locally, if we basically can work with them to set up, because we want them to set up here and do most of the production here. And I know that we've reached an agreement with them in principle, and we're now working on implementation. They're very, very committed. You're right, that was one of the groups that the president met with during the recent trip to the United States.
I want to take you back to the U.S.-Africa Business Forum you had during the United Nations General Assembly last year. And I know that there was so much talk about support from many foreign investors. I remember the lady who led the CCA talked about the need to support Nigeria tremendously in terms of ease of doing business. What kind of support are you getting from that group?
So let's start with where you stopped. So the Corporate Council on Africa, CCA, which is led by a lady, Liza. So she basically that group also met with the president, and we had a very good, productive discussion around the subject of partnership between U.S. businesses and Nigerian businesses, and making it easier. The role of government really should be providing, like we said, the supporting environment. We have also signed an agreement with the U.S. government called the Commercial Investment Dialogue. And what it's really about is the two governments, the U.S. government and Nigerian government, working together to create the necessary conditions for our businesses to work seamlessly and smoothly together. And that's also the same objective that CCA has.
How would you, before we're taking a short break presently, but how would you explain or otherwise respond to the observation by some persons that in the course of the investment drive, either Mr. President is on a visit outside or there are interactions with foreign business groups, we seem to see virtually the same faces from Nigeria?
Well, it depends on the business community. Well, it depends on what you mean by the same faces from Nigeria. First of all, let me say that every country has its champions, right? And the important thing is for those champions to be working for the greater good of the country. But for a country as diverse as Nigeria, if you see the same faces, it's because probably you're looking in the same place. If you look elsewhere, you see other faces. But my understanding is that, you will find, for instance, some of the larger businesses, whether they are industrialists like the Dangotes of this world, or the bankers like the GTBs and the Zeniths and so on. There is no way you can be dealing with business at that level and you won't see them show up. However, what you should also look for is all the other people who are following. For instance, I'll give you an example. In this president's visit to the US, he met with over, I would say, 15 businesses in different forms. And the Nigerian businesses that also showed up in different forms were probably of the same number. So you almost have to take them sector by sector. And every sector you pick, I can tell you who the champions are. And you find that there's quite a bit of depth there. But I really agree with you on one point, that we need to do more to create more champions and to broaden the spread and the depth of our businesses. And that's clearly why you need an enabling environment. One thing an enabling environment does is that it levels the playing field so that more players can emerge.
All right, that's the Honorable Minister in charge of Industry, Trade and Investment. Of course, we're still having him after we take this short break.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors.
They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. You are watching NTA, Nigerian Television Authority. For more information and news updates, visit our website at www.nta.ng, or you can follow us on Twitter at NTA News Now, or you can like us on Facebook at NTA Network News. Stay connected on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Watch our live streaming at www.nta.ng/live. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Thank you for staying with us. Now joining us in the studio is Yewande Sadiku, the Executive Secretary of Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission. Good to have you on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, and then also here with us is Obuna Okuku. Okuku is, of course, an investment promotion and economic development expert. Pleasure to be having you on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's pause the Honorable Minister in the meantime. They're still with us in the studios yet, so we're bringing in now the Chief Executive of the NIPC. That's, of course, the primary driver of investment promotion for the country. Tell us, what has been the experience, if you were to aggregate it over the last 3 years of the administration?
We've seen increasing investor interest over the last 3 years. I'll give you some indicators, some of which the Minister mentioned when you spoke to him earlier. In 2017, we started tracking investment announcements. And in the course of the year, we saw 112 projects announced across 26 states in Nigeria and the FCT for $66.36 billion. In the first quarter of this year, we've seen $17.5 billion of investment announcements, compares quite favorably with about 6.3 we saw for the same period last year. That's in relation to announcements. These are not investments. But the reality is that investments come many times before investments actually come in, but the announcements of intention. So these give us a sense of investor interest in Nigeria. But if you look at actual investment flows, in 2016, we had total capital flows of $5.1 billion. In 2017, we had total capital flows of $12.4 billion. In the first quarter of 2018 alone, we've seen $6.3 billion. So $6.3 billion in the first quarter of 2018 compared to under $1 billion in the first quarter of 2017. That's a material increase and tells us, increasing investor investment, increasing actual investment, but also increasing investor interest.
Well, how do you track investment announcement? And then, of course, what is the significance of an investor announcement with regard to coming to the economy? What does that mean?
I'm very happy you asked the question. We have a newsletter that goes out 6 days a week. That newsletter carries information on investment across Nigeria. And based on that newsletter, we track the announcements that are made by investors about their intention of coming into Nigeria. So what the announcement does, it gives us a sense of what investors are interested in. Since our job as an investment promotion agency is to encourage, to promote, to facilitate, we can then track from announcement to investment. We get in touch with them to see whether they have any challenges with actualizing their announcement. If we didn't track the announcement, we couldn't provide that support.
Now, in terms of doing business in Nigeria, I'm referring to foreign investors now. I was discussing earlier with the minister, and I did talk about some of the challenges some investors had in the past, because when they hear about NIPC as a one-stop shop, they believe that once they get there, they don't need to go elsewhere again. And a couple of them, for instance, those in Canada, complained about some of the bottlenecks in the system. What is the story today?
Investors still complain about bottlenecks. I don't want to pretend that they don't. But the reality is that many investors, and it's useful to have a program like this where we can educate not only Nigerians but foreign investors. Where investors have a challenge, you are right that NIPC provides a one-stop shop for investor entry and for resolution of investor issues. So I encourage investors to get in touch with us at NIPC if they have issues. We have the capacity to connect them not only with government agencies at the federal level, but also with our equivalents at the state level.
Now, some of these investors actually complained about the NIPC. That's where they had the challenge, moving them from one director to the other, and a couple of things that I shouldn't be talking about here. But I know that something is going on with NIPC right now. So I want to know, is there a different story at the moment?
I certainly believe so. In the last 18 months, NIPC has refocused on doing nothing more than achieving the mandate for which it was established. So the NIPC you talk about is perhaps the old NIPC rather than the new NIPC. You know, government has been focused on reforms on a number of issues, even in relation to the business environment. Once upon a time, Nigeria was at 169. We're now at 145. So judging us on the basis of where we were before is a little bit unfair. In the context of a new NIPC, I know there's a renewed commitment to delivering the mandate for which NIPC was established.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, Yewande. We'll come back to you. Let's bring in now Obona Okuko into the conversation. Of course, you listened to the points articulated by the minister and the CEO of NIPC. Now, against the background of the ease of doing business and all the issues that are loaded here in the executive orders, pieces of legislation, collateral registry, MSME clinics, and so on and so forth, can we beat our chest with regard to ramping up investment promotion in the last few years?
Yeah, of course you can actually see that, because every field you always find those things that you need to do in that field to make sure you promote the field, like in investment promotion particularly. Now, the direction that the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission is actually going at this time is actually the right direction, but I will always say there's always room for improvement. Now, talking about let's use the one-stop shop for example. Now, if you look at the one-stop shop as it was established, now there has to be a review, and then when you review the one-stop shop, now for me, looking at it as an expert, I think that review should happen as quick as possible. And what that review will bring, if I'm going to predict, is you need to have more agencies and then decision makers of those agencies in that one-stop shop, or reverse the order. Reversing the order will be the heads of those agencies will create time to meet with the head of NIPC regularly so that they can take decisions that concern those investors that want to do business in Nigeria, so that those bureaucratic directives are taken off entirely. Because if you wait for the officers in the one-stop shop to carry out, go back to their agencies to get approvals, it becomes a longer process. But if the CEOs of those agencies find time to sit with the NIPC or sit with the executive secretary of the NIPC, it makes life a lot easier. So what we need to do is actually see things from an investor's prism, which is what the new NIPC have come to realize, and that's what they're doing right now. They see things from an investor's point of view, which is what their primary job is. So if we begin to review like that, you will see more and more improvement, and then you see investor appetite, towards Nigeria and all.
Well, in terms also of tracking investment promotion in the country, say in recent years, what is your observation with regard to the cascade effect, say at the subnational level? The federal government, you have a lot of activities, a lot of issues, from what the minister has said and from what we read in various reports and various accounts. But what is it you observe at the state or the local government level?
Yeah, see, whether we like it or not, NIPC will not force the state governors to do the right thing, but they will continue to encourage them, because every investment that comes to Nigeria will be domiciled in the state. It won't be domiciled in Abuja or at the villa. It will be domiciled in the state. So the state governors are the recipients of this investment. They are the ones that the development will come to. They are the ones that will create jobs. So they need to be a bit more proactive. NIPC is usually very to support states to set up their own one-stop shop, to train their officers, to also give, support them with providing policies that will help them. But running ahead, most of them, they run ahead, they go out there to try to talk to investors. See, it's laughable, because until you do the primary work, which is being investor ready, there's no need for you to run out there. Get ready first, prepare the foundation, so that as soon as the investors come, like I always say, this profession looks very simple, but it's one of the most tactical, and it must be experienced to be able to do this job. And if you're not doing it well, all you do is just go sing songs and then people walk away. You don't come to an investor, for example, you don't come to an investor and you're talking about creating jobs. That's not his interest. His interest is about figures. How do I make money? So you need to be able to develop transactions and then create what I call a plug and play approach to investment, until the state governors or the people at the sub-nationals begin to see things from that point of view. Yewande cannot do, she can't kill herself.
What is plug and play?
Plug and play for me is, you create, for example, let's say in a state you have, let's say your main state is agriculture. Now you want people to come and invest in cassava for example. You must map out the land. You must be able to give them CFO, the investors, when they come. You must be able to make it easy for them to level the land or clear the land, and then be able to go straight into business without wasting time. Because the process of going from Ministry of Trade and Investment in the state, and you go to Ministry of Lands in the same state, and then you have to now discuss with some other agencies, Ministry of Environment, for EIAs in the same state. Now you have to be able to collapse all of this and then make it easier for investors. So as soon as they come, you hand over. It's just like a working document. Take, move into site, and then your work starts.
What has been your experience with the sub-nationals?
I wanted to jump down his throat when he was speaking. That would be unfair to our partners in the state, at the state level, if I don't comment. It is true that previously, there was some disconnection. But as I said, over the last 18 months, NIPC has particularly been focused on delivering its mandate. And we work quite collaboratively with the state investment promotion agencies. We've had at least 3 meetings this year, the first one in the middle of January, where we sat with them. The object is to ensure that from an investment promotion perspective, we're rowing in the same direction. And if the truth be told, in relation to investment promotion, there are actually a number of state investment promotion agencies that are even far advanced of NIPC. There are a number of states that have one-stop shops that do exactly what he's saying. Ogun State has a one-stop shop. Kaduna State has a one-stop shop. Bayelsa State has a one-stop shop. There are a number of states. And a number of states also have state investment promotion agencies where they do the same kind of work that NIPC does. What we do to ensure collaboration, we have a WhatsApp platform, we have an email group where we pass information back and forth. When NIPC is looking for support, NIPC actually looks for support not just for itself, but also for the state investment promotion agencies. We have training that we do, that when we've got training from UNIDO this year that we did with the state investment promotion agencies. But particularly in relation to sharpening the saw for investment promotion, we actually have a certification program, the Nigerian Investment Certification Program for states, the object of which is for NIPC to train states on 3 standards for readiness for investors.
Well, that sounds quite laudable. For some of the states that are still lagging behind, what extra efforts are you putting in to ensure that they key into the strong political will coming from the president and the NIPC?
We have a responsibility for all states, whether they're weak or strong. So there are certain standards we're developing at NIPC that we support all states with. The certification is one, but we also have a one-pager that we're doing state by state that show the investment opportunities available in each state and the competitive advantage of each state, plus the standard basic information that investors will require from all states.
All right, thank you very much. We have our viewers who have sent in their comments, taking advantage of the Twitter handle you can see on the bottom left-hand side of the screen. At NTA2Lagos, we're taking those tweets right. Law Alpha C has this tweet. The present regime of President Buhari, we say administration regime, we used to refer to that, not the military. Let's say the present administration of President Buhari has succeeded in making Nigerians and the international community to focus on the natural gifts of Nigeria.
And Omobolaho Babs, CFR, tweets, investments can only be meaningful when there is an enabling environment, an environment devoid of insecurity and infrastructural decay. Only in that can investors be willing to bring FDI to their host countries. We must talk less and do more to guarantee investor-friendly environments.
All right, this is coming from Mike Ayankwo. Apart from foreign investments, Nigerians in diaspora can also do the magic when they decide to repatriate their wealth to the country. What everyone wants is a conducive atmosphere in terms of peace and security. We can only promote investments in the country when there is relative peace and harmony. Now, the impetus of basic infrastructure is also very important. Therefore, it is the responsibility of both the governments and individuals to ensure adequate peace.
Festus Akimboyewa says government efforts at promoting investments are not endowed, but investments coming to our country must be screened so they don't compromise our national security. Foreign companies investing in our important infrastructure must not be allowed to undermine our national security.
This is coming from David Jack Solomon. Nigeria remains among the most attractive investment destinations within frontier markets. Now, a holistic effort towards investment in areas such as mining, agriculture, finance, and manufacturing to diversify the country's dependence on oil is a sure and viable way to go.
Uchenna Melody Abugu tweets, if only we can solve the problem of power and road infrastructure, we will achieve 80% of promoting investment in Nigeria.
Law Alpha C again has this tweet. More investment should be channeled to the power sector by declaring a state of emergency as Nigerians are being ripped off. There's massive investment in the areas of agriculture and local content via sensitization already.
There's also this one again from Omobolaho Babs, CFR. He tweets, the Kellogg's company, which never was in Nigeria, recently opened a factory at Igboju, Lekki, Lagos after Dangote refinery with the acceptance in the market. They're seeking for expansion. Lagos provided an enabling environment, and Aso Rock can replicate that across the country.
This is coming from Mike Mendoz with the handle Peace of 79. Investment opportunities abound in a theoretical context. However, there are many impediments, such as infrastructural deficit, harsh economic climate, very high bank interest rates, among others. More government must do the very best to ensure that these barriers are reduced.
Bestman tweets, we cannot promote investment in Nigeria until we start patronizing ourselves.
Festus Akimboyewa again. We need highly skilled professionals in our public sector if we must succeed in our efforts to promote investments. To get permits and approvals from government departments is still a challenge in Nigeria.
And this one is coming from Daily Jack Solomon Ledge. Home to over 170 million people, Nigeria is the largest country in Africa by population and among the top 10 most populous countries globally. Furthermore, the population is relatively young, with a median age of just over 18.5. Let's diversify our economy to the betterment of this population. While there is still a lot to do in energy, transport, and other logistics, we need to institutionalize a regulation with enough incentives for foreign investors. The government should continue to help fund the SMEs and put in place a robust security system that is presently lacking.
All right, let's go back to the Minister of MITI, that's Industry, Trade and Investment. One of the tweets was talking earlier about the quality of the service personnel in the public sector, and considering the high level of intensity that we are seeing with regard to investment mobilization, as well as, if you like, the rather specialized nature that the regular public service couldn't possibly deliver on this. What is being done with regard to personnel retraining or personnel realignment at MITI?
It's an excellent question. What I would say is that, like, the principles that underpin performance are the same. You know, first is the burden of leadership. Leadership makes a difference. I mean, for what you've seen at NIPC, one of the things that Yewande did when she came was she took the view, which I thought was very, very, very impressive, that she would work with the team that you had at the NIPC. She didn't say she wanted them.
Refreshing videos for you at the cost of 7,500 naira only perform, payable through the remitter platform in favor of NTA Television College jobs. Can be obtained from all marketing offices in NTA state capital stations, zonal centers, training directorate of the NTA headquarters Abuja, and the office of the academic secretary of the NTA Television College. Applicants are required to possess 5 credits in GSC SSCE in relevant areas of study, including English and mathematics, and in not more than 2 sittings. All completed forms attached with photocopies of credentials must be submitted on or before the 13th of August 2018 to the stations where the forms were obtained. For further inquiries, please contact the Office of the Academic Secretary on these numbers. Announcer, Registrar.
The
glorious month of Ramadan is here, and the Muslim of the NTA2Lagos Network Center invites you to this year's Yusuf Jibo Ramadan lecture. Date 14th Ramadan, 14:39 AH. Time 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Venue NTA2Lagos Network Center premises, Provision House, Akmadu Bello Way, Victoria Island, Lagos. Under the chairmanship of Alhaji Abdulatif Femi Okunu, National President and Southern Society of Nigeria. Chief host Malam Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, Director General NTA. Host Chidi Uluka, NTA2Lagos Network Center. Special guest of honor, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, Speaker, Lagos House of Assembly. Spiritual father of the day, Sheikh Sulaiman Abdullah, Chief Imam of Lagos. Guest lecturers, Commander Gidaro Taufik Migdad, Acting Director, Labour Directorate of Islamic Affairs. Ustaz Harun Frani, Imam, NTA Lagos 2010. Lecture on benefits of non-interest financial system is an integral part of the event. This is a gathering of Islamic scholars you don't want to miss. See you there.
You are watching NTA, Nigerian Television Authority. For more information and news updates, visit our website at www.nta.ng, or you can follow us on Twitter at NTA News Now, or you can like us on Facebook at NTA Network News. Stay connected on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Watch our live streaming at www.nta.ng/live. NTA. You can't beat the rich.
Is the network service of the NTA.
Administration and Management. I'm Ayodiji Makinde for NTA Sports.
And moving on now, still talking about football, but an aspect of football. A 28-year-old Grade 1 female football referee in the country has been commended for her efforts at coming to the aid of a player who slumped while in action. To learn more about this referee, let's hear from Kende Lamidi.
Physical fitness, mental alertness, precision, agility, and responsibility, among others, are the qualities of a good football referee. These sterling qualities are currently exhibited by this Grade 1 referee from Lagos State and a graduate of Physical and Mental Education from University of Lagos, RUT or CAFO. In one of the Week 6 matches of the Nigerian Women Football League held at the Lawrence Township Stadium between Edo Queens and Shore Babes, RUT or CAFO revived the captain of Edo Queens when the ball hit her on the face and went down slowly. Ruth swung into action exhibiting the qualities and experience garnered as a student of physical and health education.
I wanted to do the match out, but I found that there's a lot of blood inside her, so I went for the chest compression, which I did, and she came back. But she's not the first person I've been saying, she's the sixth person.
These feats have accorded her honors, encomiums, and cash awards from notable soccer administrators in Nigeria.
Awarded by the Nigerian Women Football League. The recommendation has been sent to the Nigerian Referee Association. By the time we are doing the Super 4, she will be fully involved.
I am pleading with other women in the stand to connect